Hello, friends and dear viewers. Welcome to the present session. Now, we are going to continue our discussion with regard to the effects of sunlight on plants. Of course, friends, in my earlier episode, I have concluded with the physiological effects of the oxygen hormone. I think I shall not continue furthermore with that physiological effects of oxygen. Let me confine myself to the current topic, that is the effects of light. And in this connection, I would like to continue my session with the effects of the quality of light. Right. Generally speaking, there exists no sharply defined distinction between the action of the different rays. Of course, friends, um, people from various disciplines might be having some kind of preliminary knowledge regarding the uh, types or kinds of rays that comes from the are emitted by the sun. So just remember them. Now I would like to continue here. All rays, all rays that the plant absorbs exert a definite heat effect. Yellow and red rays are phototropically active, though to a much smaller degree than the blue violet rays. Growth as well as differentiation and tropic movements. These three things they are influenced mainly by the blue, violet, and ultraviolet rays. And this kind of sensitiveness to the blue violet part of the spectrum has only been proved for phototropic reactions. Friends, light has a twofold influence upon growth. Hope you understand this line. Light has a twofold influence upon growth. One part of the spectrum provides the energy for carbon assimilation. Again, we are discussing about the process photosynthesis, my dear friends. Here, light has a twofold influence upon growth, and one part of the spectrum provides the energy for carbon assimilation, that is photosynthesis, and hence for the production of raw material, while another part acts as a stimulus and influences directly the rate of growth and differentiation. Even the form of the plant is determined to a certain degree by light. Hope you realize the importance of light. It is, of course, stated as a twofold influence upon growth, but various factors I have discussed, like carbon assimilation and giving that stimulus factor, and even the form of the plant is determined to a certain degree by light. Right. Now, let us jump on to the topic effects of light duration. Friends, I think we need to know about the light duration. It is very much essential for us to know about the duration of light. Initiation of flower buds in plants is another factor that is affected by light period. People from biology streams or or life sciences, of course, need not have a very big background. Um, Maybe at a higher school level, they can they might be having some idea about what I am talking. Right, initiation of flower buds in plants is another factor affected by light period. So, friends, plants are basically grouped according to their response to um, day length. I mean, length of the day, which has light. I mean to say that plants are grouped according to their response to day length into what are called short day plants as well as long day plants, and day neutral plants also, and day neutral plants also. Generally, the short day plants develop flowers, that is, when the days are less than 13 to 14 hours long. I think you got my point. Short day plants are those plants which generally develop flowers when the days are less than 13 to 14 hours long. And for example's sake, we can take chrysanthemum, of course, xanthium, the salvia, Maryland mammoth tobacco, etc. While coming to the long day plants, here the long day plants they develop flowers, that is, when the days are longer than 13 to 14 hours. I mean, the length of the day should be longer than 13 to 14 hours. It means if you take, for example, 24 hours of time period, out of those 24 hours, you need to have a light between 13 to 14 hours. That's what it means, the long day plants. And as examples, we can take the hordeum, petunia, the clover, radish, lettuce, etc. The other type of plants are also there. They are the day neutral plants. Of course, the day neutral plants they are insensitive to day length. Day neutral plants are insensitive to day length. That means they are not working under the time period. I mean, to what extent the light is there. I mean, not like short day plants or not like long day plants. They can better be concluded as insensitive to day length. And as an example's sake, we can say here we have very familiar examples, dear friends, and most surprising also. The regularly used item, the tomato, the tobacco, cotton, of course, roses, carnation, sunflower, etc. Right. Now, it's time for us to discuss about the effects of intensity of light. Dear friends, light is subject to cyclic fluctuations in intensity, that is depending upon the altitude, the latitude, seasons, and climatic conditions. Light is subject to cyclic fluctuations in intensity, that is depending upon the altitude, the latitude, season, and climatic conditions. One of the most striking effects of light intensity is poor growth of grasses. That is, when shaded by trees with dense foliage, etc. In those instances, the undergrowth of flora may be almost entirely absent in extremely dense forests where trees grow very closely together. That is, you don't find any chance for this sun rays to touch the ground. I mean, the flora that is present on, I mean, very close to surface of the earth. Many species of plants are shade tolerant. They are shade tolerant, and they are generally called as heliophobous plants or skyophytes. The species of plants which are tolerant for shade, they are called as heliophobous plants or skyophytes. Of course, they are capable to survive and grow in low light intensity, whereas others are shade intolerant. And the plants which are shade intolerant, they are generally called as photophilous plants or heliophytes Be careful, my dear friends. Be cautious. I used the term shade tolerant for heliophobous plants, and shade intolerant, they are called as heliophytes. Right. These shade intolerant plants, they require high light intensity for growth and survival. Shade intolerant plants which require high light intensity for growth and survival. In certain cases, 50% of full sunlight is also needed. That is, in particular cases, right? Shade tolerance plays a significantly an important role in forest plants. Plants which make habitat a forest, where their seedlings must become established in very poor light conditions on the floor of the forest. Although shade tolerance is an important factor in determining the establishment of a species in a particular area, availability of soil, water, and essential elements are equally important here. And shade conditions are always invariably associated with increased atmospheric humidity as compared with the conditions of full light. shade conditions are always invariably associated with increased atmospheric humidity as compared with conditions of light. Plants grown under shade, they show certain peculiar anatomical features which distinguish them from plants grown in full light. Which are grown in full light. In our earlier discussion, dear friends, I made a note, particularly with regard to the adaptations concept. I think this line touches that adaptations concept, right? I think that is enough for us to deal with the effects of light on plants, my dear friends. Now it's time now for us to move on to the topic that how the temperatures they influence or they act upon the plants. And in this context, we need to deal in detail about about the temperature. I mean, what temperature literally means, and the things which are allied with the temperature, right? Okay, friends. Temperature is the master factor. Temperature is the master factor in the distribution of vegetation over the earth. We can easily distinguish between the light as well as temperature. So far, we have dealt with the light, its intensity or its distribution or duration, etc. And now we are dealing with temperature. It starts with the statement here. Temperature is the master factor in the distribution of vegetation over the earth. Though its action is always interwoven with those of light and water, of course. Temperature influences almost all activities of plants, right from photosynthesis, respiration, and of course absorption of water, the transpiration factor, the germination factor, growth, and lastly the reproduction part also. Now let us see the direct effect of temperature. Friends, temperature as a habitat factor, it may operate either directly or indirectly. Now let us deal with things, that is temperature. If directly it operates in two important ways. Directly it operates in two important ways, right? Number one, it affects the rate of different physiological processes of the plants and consequently influences their germination, rate of growth and development. This is the first point. When temperature affects directly, its effect is a twofold one. And number one is that it affects the rate of different physiological processes like germination, rate of growth and development. The other one is, my friends, temperature range and fluctuations in an area. It goes a long way, of course, in determining the kind of plants which will be able to grow and survive in that particular area. Of course, plants greatly vary in their tolerance to withstand a particular range of temperature and its fluctuations. Right, my dear friends. Now let us deal with indirect effect of temperature. Temperature operates indirectly through its influence on soil factors and other climatic factors. For instance, the rise in atmospheric temperature accelerates the rate of transpiration through its action on saturation deficit of the air. I repeat once again, my dear friends, when we are dealing with the indirect effect of temperature, here temperature operates indirectly through its influence on soil factors and other climatic factors. In that instance, the rise in atmospheric temperature accelerates the rate of transpiration through its action on saturation deficit of the air. Another very important indirect effect of temperature, which has a significant effect on the vegetation of hilly areas, is commonly known as cold air drainage. That is cold air drainage. So, friends, during spring and summer nights, night times, the air in the close proximity of hilltops as well as upper hill slopes is cooled by radiation. We are clear, and of course, the followers of my episodes, you can recollect the word radiation. I think I made clear regarding convection, and radiation. Those three may be better called as the ways of transmitting heat. Okay. So here comes the radiation. That is the process through which the spring as well as summer nights having the experiences in this form of transformation process. During spring and summer nights, the air in the close proximity of hilltops and upper hill slopes is cooled by radiation. This cool air flows down into the valley and to lower hills where it brings about extreme cooling or even, of course, freezing also. And cold air drainage, the word I have earlier used, my dear friends, cold air drainage. I need to clear what it literally means, right? So, cold air drainage is an important factor in determining the distribution of particular plant communities in hilly regions. Their ability to survive freezing temperatures, of course, it varies greatly in different species and is one of the important factors which determine northward and altitudinal distribution. Right. A species also frequently includes geographic races. Geographic races. Friends, repeatedly, now and then we are coming across with various terms or the concepts which has their origin or roots with the discipline geography. So, be thorough with a little bit with geography also, my dear friends. I come once again. A species also frequently includes geographical races which vary in their ability to withstand freezing. The ability to withstand freezing is commonly referred to as frost resistance or frost hardiness. The ability, friends, the ability of plants or species to withstand freezing. It is commonly referred to as frost resistance or frost hardiness, right? Similarly, or likewise, low temperature may affect plants, that is both during the dormant stage and in the stage of active growth, right? One more thing, winter injury may result in damage to the roots, bark, and buds, and even death of the plant also. Okay, friends. The death of the plants, that is when exposed to freezing temperature. It is not simply due to the direct effect of room temperature, but it is the result of formation of ice in plant tissues. Ultimately, the result of formation of ice in plant tissues that leads to the death of the plant. Right. Okay. Now it's time for us to go with the adaptations, because we are discussing about the fluctuations in temperatures, that is the lower temperatures, high temperatures, of course, dealing with altitudes or seasonal changes, etc. So, in this context, my dear friends, we have every necessity for us to deal with or to go for the adaptations that are changing against these thermal conditions. Right. I think, my dear friends, it's time for me to conclude this session. Hope I'll start my next episode with the topic that is adaptations against changing thermal conditions. Okay, friends. Hope you all enjoyed this session very well. Meet you soon in my next episode. Thank you. Thank you, one and all.